Hi, Savannah.
What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about 3 top mobile games on the iTunes App Store.
So I think today, before we get into all of that stuff, we do want to go through a few little updates with you guys for everybody who has been listening and watching us. We definitely want to thank you, everybody, from the bottom of our heart, who has taken the time to subscribe and to like our videos and leave comments. It really helps us out a lot and encourages us to keep this project going. So thank you. Also, if you've been watching, this might be a great time to subscribe. Maybe if you like this video, give it a like at the end. We'd super appreciate that.
If you don't know, we are currently on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts, so subscribe to us there as well. Any kind of subscribe that you can do really does help us out, and like Savannah said, from the bottom of our hearts, we really do appreciate it.
And on Apple Podcasts, if you could leave us a rating on it and subscribe to that too, that would be super helpful.
We'll read every single review you could ever write. Thank you.
We really will. Also, we just want to let everybody know that we do have transcripts available of our podcast. Eventually, they will be on a website that we will be having, but for now, we will always have a link in our description to a Google Doc, so you can read a full transcript of the podcast, and we'll also be sharing that link on our social media as well, which if you're not following, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
I do apologize. They will be about a week behind. They are hand-transcribed podcasts, so it takes a hot second. So I appreciate your patience. And then last, we wanted to go over our Patreon. So go ahead and check out our Patreon page, link down in the description or in the comments, and click on that. Take a gander, take a look-see. Our lowest tier is $1, and every $1 that we get, we really appreciate. We want to keep doing this. We want to make more content, and this is the dream. We want to live it, so thank you. So when we downloaded these apps, they were number 1, 2, and 3 on top free games in the App Store, and it is the weekend of January 30th right now. And those games were High Heels, Walk Like a Queen, Project Makeover Manager by Bubblegum Games LLC, and Guess the Answer by TapNation. And they're all number 1 right now in their respective categories. So High Heels is number 1 in racing game right now. Project Makeover Manager is number 1 in puzzle games right now. And Guess Their Answer is number 1 in family right now. So they're all still kind of high in the charts right now, and I'm sure they still will be, or maybe not, when this podcast released, but I still think it's a good sampling size for what we wanted to discuss today. I probably spent up to 4 hours playing these games this week, but I want to hear from you, Savannah. How did you spend your time playing them? Did you play them just all in one go? Were you just doing them between working, or how did you play them?
I started by playing Guess Their Answer, and that one I had just gotten up and was still just kind of like laying in bed being lazy, and I was like, oh, I'll try playing this game right now. And then I ended up staying there probably close to an hour of just like getting engrossed in that game and playing it for a while.
And what kind of game is Guess Their Answer?
Guess Their Answer is, I'm not sure what the technical term would be, but it's like a trivia style game where you're competing against a person to try to guess as many answers, kind of like Family Feud style. Like it's taking a survey selection of people or of saying like, what is name 5 social media apps, and then surveying what most people would say that they are, and then you have to guess what most people would say with what the top 5 social media apps are, and you're doing that against another person. So that one was really the only one I think that I like consciously was like, all right, I'm sitting down and playing this while I'm not doing anything else. High Heels I had started playing while I was doing other things, like while I was working on some stuff for the podcast, some editing, things like that. I was kind of playing in between doing other things, and High Heels is one that is more of like a racing type of a game. Project Makeover I thought was going to be kind of like that, where I could play it in between doing other things, but then it very quickly like took over everything else I was doing. And I became very focused on Project Makeover. So that's kind of how I played them.
I played them all just kind of straight within 2 days, because I'm the one taking the footage that you're seeing for these games. So I kind of just sat down and I played through them. I like unlocked all the content in high heels in about 2 hours. It's a game where you are walking on a runway and you're picking up high heels and you're trying to make it to the end of a runway. And there's obstacles in your way, and if you lose too many heels, then you don't make it to the end of the runway, or you can fall off. And Project Makeover, because we didn't go over that one yet, is a Candy Crush-like game where you earn coins to make over someone, and you don't really get very many choices on how you make over them. So the more addicting aspect of it is the Candy Crush like gameplay. So I wanted to give some general background on mobile games for a hot sec. It's a category of games that I'm not super familiar with. I took some classes in college about console gaming and just play in general, but mobile games never really came up, despite how just everywhere they are, which surprised me. They're not really looked upon as relevant, important games. But today I definitely want to challenge that idea. So the first mobile game was released on the 1997 Nokia, and that was Snake. Savannah, are you familiar with the game Snake?
I am. I feel like I'm trying to remember in the recesses of my mind. I know my dad had like one of the old Nokia phones, and I remember playing it, but I don't really remember all the mechanics. I just remember moving around the little snake, but I don't remember the objective.
Yeah, you like move around, and the goal is to like eat and get bigger, but like not run into yourself. That was the goal of the game. So very simple game. It was on calculators, it was on Nokias, and that was the first mobile game, and it was made possible by I was pleasantly surprised to read this, by WAP, and that stands for Wireless Application Protocol. It's called something else now. It's called something else now, but I was pretty happy to get that little tidbit out there. And mobile games just kind of took off from there. The iPhone and the dedicated app store was really kind of the turning point for the success of mobile games, and you were able to make in-app purchases as of 2009. And I believe the first iPhone came out in 2006. Does that sound right to you, Savannah?
Either 2006 or 2007.
Anyways, so that had the dedicated app store, and the iPhone really launched that standard to have that dedicated app store to be able to download other content through WAP, and that's how we kind of got here today. And microtransactions started up in 2009. That was legalized, and it was quickly utilized by Angry Birds and popular games like Tap Tap Revenge, Cut the Rope, all games that I have played in my youth and childhood. I don't know about you, Savannah.
Yeah, well, I think this is a great segue to kind of talk about my and both of our experiences playing mobile games. So like I said, I think probably my earliest memory of playing mobile games would be on my dad's like old Nokia phone that he had way back in the day. After that, I remember playing, I think maybe like Tetris or something, either on his phone or maybe like on one of my very first cell phones that I had in like 2004, 2005, something like that. And then after that, I feel like when I got like my first like iPod Touch or something in junior high, that was when I probably started playing things like Angry Birds and Fruit Ninja. I think that those ones were like my favorite games, but I never was like super into playing mobile games, especially when I had a 32 gig iPod Touch or something. Like I always felt like I wanted to save all the space as I could for like music, so I would often just delete my apps so that way I could have more space for that. But then even as I've gotten like bigger iPhone storage sizes, I've just never really been too into mobile games. But I'm also just not like a big video game person in general, so that's not like super surprising. The one mobile game that I have really gone into is Pokemon Go, which really like took over my life in not even an exaggerated sense when it very first came out. And I feel like when I very first played Pokemon Go and it came out, I was like, oh my God, like this is what games are like. Like I was shocked. And I got like so into it. And that was the first time, because even prior to that, I don't think I ever paid for an app game. I only ever got free ones, and I never spent like any money in it. But Pokemon Go was definitely the first time that I like paid real money in the game to get extra stuff to help me go through the game. And since then, I have like kind of waned and gone back to Pokemon Go over the years. I'm in a phase right now where I'm not really playing it, but just like earlier this year, I had been playing it a lot. But other than that, I still don't really play mobile games too often. I've never played Among Us. I've never played a lot of other popular ones, like some of the ones that Ryan just mentioned. I've never played Candy Crush. So I don't have a lot of experience with them, which made this particular case study pretty interesting. What about you, Ryan? I know you mentioned that I think you've definitely played more than I have with mobile games.
Yeah, it just surprises to me as I'm thinking about it right now while I was listening to you how pervasive mobile games have been in my life, because I feel like I've definitely played all the greatest hits. I've probably spent upwards of $50 at least on in-app purchases or buying premium games just over the years. Mystic Messenger was a huge proponent in that. As well as Pokemon Go. I've spent quite a bit of money in Pokemon Go. I just can't help but think, like, I know a lot of people make you feel guilty about buying apps or in-app purchases, but if I pay $2.99 and it makes me happy as a cup of coffee, like, and it lasts longer than a cup of coffee, like, why wouldn't I get it? So Mystic Messenger is a free-to-play game where it takes you through a visual novel type story where you're texting these hot Korean boys, and it happens in real time, like Animal Crossing. So if you miss events or in-game conversations, then you have to pay to be able to go back and view them. Or if you want extra story content or bonus phone calls with these fake Korean boys, you have to pay to talk with them. I know it sounds crazy, but I definitely have spent a couple of dollars on those boys. That's kind of my experience with mobile games right now. I'm kind of in a phase where I play mobile games while I listen to audiobooks. So I kind of like those high score kind of games like Flappy Bird or High Heels, where I'm just kind of mindlessly going through levels, just little puzzles where I don't have to think too hard, but it still keeps my visual and other part of my brain occupied while I listen to audiobooks. So who do you think the target demographic is for these kind of games?
I kind of felt like each one had a different target demographic. And I base this partially on like the content of the game itself, but more so I based it on the types of ads that I was receiving. So like specifically, I think for Guess Their Answer, I got a lot of advertisements for like home renovation type of games, which I was surprised by. I didn't really think that existed. I mean, once I saw it, I was like, it was obvious that would exist, but I didn't think that there would be so many and that they would be like advertised to me so heavily. I also got a lot of advertisements while playing that game for like different like brain games that would like try to train your brain into like thinking more quickly, or it would show that it was trying to like guess the age of your brain, different things like that. And also, I believe for that one, I saw some ads for like Starbucks, and I think maybe an ad for like a scar cream or something like that. So all of that kind of led me to think that it was an older demographic, 30 to 40, maybe a little older, maybe even 40 to 50. And my guess would be probably more women playing the game, but it's kind of hard to say. But that would be my gut reaction.
I think I had a different gut reaction than you because I saw that it was #1 for family games, and the age range was on the higher end. It was ages 7 and up recommended, as opposed to the other ones where it was like ages 4 and up. But it was #1 on family, and since it is mimicking Family Feud, I would think that I would actually imagine younger people to play it in general.
I could see that. I mean, I feel like the questions itself that it asked were kind of a toss-up. Like, yeah. I remember specifically, like, it did ask about social media, and I was like, okay, like, well, that would probably be younger people.
Do you think you were playing against real people? Because I wasn't convinced I was playing against real people.
I wasn't either. I was going to ask you that. Because I felt like when I was playing it, like, so for those listening who haven't played, part of it is it supposedly pairs you up with people in your actual location. So I'm in Mesa, Arizona, and once I got to like my tournament or whatever, it said like, and now we're gonna play you against all the other finalists in the Mesa area. But there was no like lag time. Like in other games I know where you play with actual people online, there's a little bit of a wait while you like everybody logs in. and I just felt like it was just like everybody was instantly there. And also, I just wondered how many people really are playing this game. I don't know. I mean, maybe there are that many people to be playing it at any given time to be able to have these like tournament type situations, but I don't know. I didn't really believe that I was playing against real people.
Yeah, neither did I. And I don't know if you read the reviews at all, but so many people were like, can you make this game harder? Like, am I playing against real people? We're not the only ones that had that same thought. And I really couldn't find any definitive answers in my kind of micro research into the company for TapNation. So I couldn't find any answers to that one. I'm sure if I looked harder and looked better, I could have found something, but as it stands, no. We're getting a little bit off topic. So the age demographic for the other two games, High Heels and Project Makeover, what did you think that those would be?
All right, so for High Heels, that one I felt kind of like maybe it was younger. I thought it was younger than Guess Their Answer, but still not super young. I don't think really with any of these games I was imagining children playing them, although I'm sure children do play them. High Heels was probably the one that I most would imagine children playing, and with that one, I think, again, based off the ads on that one that I got were much more like gambly-y. That's not a word. Like, they made me think of gambling because a lot of the advertisements for the games, they were like slot machines, like literal slot machines like you'd see at Vegas, and the same imagery and things like that, which made me think that it was older. I think for that game also, I got an advertisement for becoming a medical assistant or like a medical assistant education program, something like that. So I imagine women playing that game probably like 13 to 20, 13 to 25, something like that. Maybe a little bit on the older side based off of the literal gambling things, just because I don't think that younger audiences, like under 15 years old, I don't think that they would recognize like what a slot machine is or what that imagery is, but maybe subconsciously that does something to them. But that was my thought for High Heels.
I don't know. I had a slot machine, like a little mini slot machine when I was younger that you could put like real money in it, and like you could play the slots. And I mean, I knew what that was when I was like 7, so.
Yeah, but like our parents are into that kind of stuff.
Overall, I think you're probably dead center on that one, where it's younger girls playing. I mean, it's the type of game that I would like to play, just for the high score aspect of it, and to like go to each level, even though I didn't actually see any kind of progression in difficulty each level necessarily. I thought there was a lot of random generation there. I didn't appreciate the lack of detail. I wanted there to be more levels. But I was reading the reviews. Apparently there is a level wall, and it like stops at a certain level, and then they're like, more levels coming soon. But I honestly, like, from level to level, it could be level 1, it could be level 20 at any time.
And then for Project Makeover, for that game, I think it had like a similar demographic probably as the High Heel one. That game, I got less of the ads that seemed like they were like slot machine type things. It was kind of back to like home renovation or just general like brain game type ads. Nothing like super specific. I think again, maybe I was seeing Starbucks ads on that one as well. So I think for Project Makeover, I would also think that that one is probably like 13 to 20 and women predominantly.
And did you happen to take a look, at least I happened to take a look at just the top 20 free games or so, and they were all kind of, I would say, targeted towards women, or at least women that I would know that would want to play those games, where they're like satisfying games, makeover games, waxing games, just anything in that category, home improvement. Definitely more women targeted.
I was surprised by these 3 games, how it did really seem like they were targeted to women. The only one that I maybe thought could be more across the board was the Guess Their Answer game, because I did get like questions about like sports and things like that traditionally women wouldn't know. But yeah, I was very surprised that they did seem all more geared towards women.
Maybe there's something there in, well, how the media devalues the importance of mobile gaming and its main demographic being women. Maybe, right?
Maybe.
Because according to this article, and it's Myth-Busting Mobile Gaming Demographics. It's an article that was updated in 2021, so pretty recent, and it does in fact confirm that women do play mobile games more. They play them longer when we do play them. According to this, it goes like, it ranks mobile games, and we can link this article down below as well, with Words with Friends, Candy Crush Saga, Solitaire, all those types of games. Us females, we are gaming away more than men. And of course, this doesn't account for non-binary, but it's just interesting to me that, once again, something that is devalued in the media is female focused, but probably not female produced, I have to imagine, but I didn't do my research in that way.
Do you happen to know how that compares to like video games, like the rate at which women play or for how long? Like traditional video games on console?
Yeah, with traditional video games on console, I do know that it's less female focused in advertising, and men do play more games, but the market for women, I think it's still like at 40%. The last kind of YouTube rabbit hole I went down, that's kind of the last number that I heard. Unfortunately, I don't have a link to that, but maybe we can add in a post. So you were talking a lot about the ads, and that's how you kind of judged your demographics. I mainly got ads for other games, and other games that were by the same company. And I didn't really get any ads for anything real life. I didn't get any ads for medical institutes or Starbucks or anything like that. They were all just games that were prompting me to like play the little mini game demo, but like you can only play so much of it before it clicks away, and then it takes you to the app store. I didn't get any real life ads.
And just specify, I got advertisements for other games like in between like the rounds, or like the forced pauses that the games make you take. So like, for example, and guess their answer in between each round, like it takes you to a separate little page where it shows you like a little video about some other game. The advertisements that I was getting for real things like Starbucks or whatever, those were always like little banners at the bottom of the game. So maybe while I was actually playing the game, or like on a home page, different things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to the little banners on the bottom, but I probably did get real life advertisements, as we see in the footage that we're probably currently playing.
Yeah. Some of the ads definitely piqued my interest. Like I was like, oh, maybe this would be a game that I would want to play. But most of them, I think in my mind, I kept thinking that the advertisement was probably making the game look better than it actually was. I think also, like specifically with Project Makeover, I felt a little tricked into what that game was going to be. And I think that made me suspicious of some of the other games that I was getting advertised for.
Yeah, I was also betrayed by Project Makeover and seeing those ads, because they set them up like there's this guy and he's with another girl, and you're just like super frumpy looking, and like I just want to be with this guy, and that's how the ad is set up. And when I was reading the reviews, other people were also betrayed, and that's how the app got lower reviews. But it did have a lot of reviews, and not all of them were low. The majority of them were 5-star. So weird. I didn't appreciate it. Not appreciated.
What else did you think about your specific ads that you got?
I was pretty irritated by them. I don't think that they contributed at all to my experience. I had to wait so many times, especially in high heels, where if you picked up like another color heel or an accessory, in order to unlock that, you had to watch an ad. And let me tell you something, Savannah. I purchased the premium version of this game.
Wow.
And I still had to watch the ad to unlock items.
And specifically in high heels, I also felt like I spent more time watching ads than actually playing the game, which I think led to me being bothered. And maybe it is not like this, but I felt like those pauses in between rounds where you have to watch like an ad roll out, it felt like they were longer than in the other games. I don't know if that's true, but it definitely felt like they were.
It was a really long time. And on top of that, they kind of almost locked you in sometimes to watching an ad. There's a mechanic where if you're walking on the runway, there's these golden keys that you can pick up. And once you have 3 keys, you kind of unlock a screen where you have a chance to open up treasure chests. And there's 9 treasure chests, but you only have 3 keys. So you select your 3 treasure chests. Oh, you don't get like the most valued prize. You're like, oh man, I didn't get the puppy dog backpack or whatever. Below pops up a little button that says 3 more, and it has like a watch video ad icon next to it. And it takes like 2 seconds before the second button pops up to like skip the ad. So you don't even have like a chance, like if you just like kind of automatically click to watch the ad, it'll just go and you'll get 3 more keys, but you don't have the option right up front to just skip it. And that was with the premium version. I didn't start out with the premium version. I bought it after a little while just because I was curious what the premium version was like and like what it would be like to unlock everything. But I still had to watch ads.
I also was annoyed with some of the ads. Like, it definitely seemed like they were pretty tricky with, like, and this makes sense that they would do this, but that they would be tricky with, like, hiding how to exit out of the ad once you were allowed to exit out. And I think even, like, for one advertisement that I saw, I don't remember which game it was, but pretty much all of them had, like, a little X in the top right corner that you could click out of once you had watched enough of the advertisement. But one of them had an X on the other side, but I think it was a fake X. And once you clicked that X, it wasn't really taking you out. It was taking you to like download the app in the App Store. And I was like, how dare you?
Yeah, I feel
trick me in this way.
No one talks about the injustices of these advertisements. They're insane. And with Project Makeover, they pretty much punish you with apps and the way they encourage you to pay, because you really only have to watch ads if you lose one of their Candy Crush levels or you need more resources. And it was very punishing and it didn't feel good to have to be pressed to pay or pressed to watch advertisements.
Honestly, I think that's a lot of why I don't really like playing mobile games, is because of the advertisements.
So that leads us to kind of the next question that I wanted to bring up, which were these advertisements and the asking us to pay for more content or pay for more lives, do you feel like that's ethical? And I kind of wanted to categorize these games on how they approach the paywall, whether it be just premium upfront, where you're just able to buy the game at $2.99 and you just have the whole game. It's kind of like you buy it on a console. Although that's not always the case with console games either, because sometimes they have in-store purchases as well. There's kind of like a freemium version where you play a certain amount and then you're blocked by a paywall and then you have to pay the full price to play the rest of the game. And then there's free to play, which is where it is free to play, but if you miss something like in Candy Crush Saga and you need more lives, then you do in-app purchases. Just advertising supported it's pretty much self-explanatory. It's what it is. And then the subscription model, where you do pay a subscription fee, more akin to like how consoles do it with Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus, that kind of model to play that content in those games. And I kind of wanted to go and talk about each of the games, talk about what advertisement strategies or what money-making strategies they used, and if they are ethical. So I kind of want to start with Project Makeover, and that's kind of the Candy Crush Saga-like one. And that one had no premium option. You couldn't outright buy the game to just bypass all the ads and get unlimited lives. So that would be kind of a cross between the free-to-play model and the advertising-supported model, where there were ads. You are able to play freely. However, if you ran out of lives, you are forced to purchase their in-game currency, gems, to buy more lives.
Whether or not I think that model is really ethical, I guess I feel like that one, while I was annoyed with it, at least I felt like it was maybe, on the one hand, I felt like it was more straightforward with like explaining that you had to pay to get these extra things to continue playing, but also I wasn't expecting it, I guess. So in that sense, I did feel kind of bamboozled with the paywalls that I found myself coming up against.
I think that's the most typical model that I see, especially because I have played Candy Crush I have played games like that where you can only progress so far and then you have to wait in real time. I don't know if you played the Harry Potter stories type game, but you could only get so far in a story a day before you either had to wait real time before you progressed, or you hit the paywall and you paid it to progress in the story. So I think that's the one that I'm most familiar with. And I think it's the one that's, I think it's second place in predatory practices. It does stop you at a point where you want to keep playing. It knows what it's doing. It knows that you've tried this level like 3 times and you couldn't get past it, and you want to get past it, and you either have to link your social media once, you get to do that once for some gems, or you have to pay $2.99. And I don't feel like that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think it's good for them to basically be like a drug dealer and get you like hooked on playing the game for free, and then be like, well, now that you've had a taste, you got to pay more.
And they start you out
going.
as well. They start you out with like 600 gems, right? So they give you a taste what it's like to have that premium currency, how easy it is to spend. And then, well, bam, you're out of that premium currency in 2 seconds flat, and you're like, ugh.
What did you think about High Heels? Which type of game do you think that was?
I think that one's pretty much 100% ad-based. There wasn't really anything that you could purchase in there besides the no advertisements. And that one did kind of have weird rewards. So you were able to get different avatars that were able to walk down the runway for you, different high heels, and you were able to get different accessories. And those were given to you by Gacha mechanics. So Gacha means that it's based on gachapon, where you put your coin into a gachapon machine, you turn it, you don't know what you're going to get, and you get a little toy, and you're like, ooh, I got a lion, or ooh, I got a lion, because that's like a super common one. That's how they rewarded you, was by different visual accessories.
Which that one, I felt like I was disappointed, I guess, that was how I had to get them. Because I feel like that's the type of thing, like in theory, that I would be more willing to spend money on. Like, for instance, I have paid, I think, real money in Pokemon Go to get like a Pikachu backpack for my avatar. But in this particular game, I think I just didn't feel like invested enough to do that. At least to the point where I played. If I had been playing for longer, then maybe that would be different. I'm sure that it would be just based off of the psychology of playing a game for that long.
I unlocked every skin there was within 2 hours. And again, I did purchase the premium no advertisement model after about a half hour playing that game, so it did help things go along a bit faster. With that one, I did feel the most frustrated when receiving those ads and having to watch all those ads, because I wasn't really getting anything tangible besides like a visual little thing. I did feel more frustrated with that one when I was asked to watch those ads and pay my time versus Project Makeover, where I had to pay actual money. And then the last one, Guess Their Answer, is completely advertisement supported. There is a premium option that you can purchase in-app where you can get the ads removed, and there's no upgrades, nothing you can get, just because it is kind of a straight trivia game. That one was the purest game of all, maybe because it is a family game and targeted towards families, and the family does not want their children to be making all those in-app purchases.
That one, I think I felt the most comfortable with, because that one, while I was annoyed by the advertisements, it didn't feel like unusually like a lot like in the high heel games. It was more so expected in that one, and maybe that's just because I've played other trivia games that have been kind of in that same vein. But that one definitely I was the least annoyed by with the advertisements.
Okay, so with High Heels, that is the only game that we played that has kind of an outright gotcha mechanic, where you unlock certain character designs and you have to pay gems to unlock a random one. You have no idea what you're going to get. And it's not really even an outright gotcha mechanic, but it was the one most similar to it, and I did want to go over to it just because that mechanic is so prevalent and so controversial in video game industries, both mobile and online and console. So Savanah, I already kind of went over what gotcha mechanics are, but I didn't really explain why they're so predatory and unethical. there has been research done, links below, about how they promote gambling and addiction in children and adults, but specifically to children. And there's actually laws and regulations outside of the US in 4 different countries, China, Japan, Belgium, and the Netherlands, that highly regulate or even ban gacha mechanics. Pocket Camp Animal Crossing is outright banned in Belgium for its outright gacha mechanics.
Wow. I definitely think that they are predatory, and when I was reading about like what a gacha mechanic is, like it was very clear to me about how it is essentially in line with gambling. And actually, I recently was thinking about like the concept of gambling and was wondering what the history was of it being illegal here in the United States. For anybody on the possibility that you might be listening to this or watching it who is not from the United States, gambling is illegal in the United States unless it is in sanctioned places like casinos in specific areas, or I believe online it is regulated to some extent, but we do not have any legislation on gacha mechanics. And I wonder at what point we would, or if we ever would have any legislation on that. My gut instinct is no, because I think that Silicon Valley would like fight that pretty hard. I know
it has been proposed. Link in the description about how it has been proposed, but nothing's been done about it.
When I was reading about how it has been outlawed in like Japan and some other countries, it made me think about the countries that have like higher rates of video game addiction to begin with. I know like I think in Japan and some other Asian countries, possibly like South Korea, they have like actual rehab centers for people who are dealing with video game addiction. So it made me happy to see that there is some type of regulation on that, especially because I feel like with a lot of these games, it wasn't necessarily trying to make a good game. It felt like more so their goal was just to either sell you something or for you to give them your money or your time. And that in general just feels wrong to me.
It's hard for me because I personally really like gacha mechanics. I like the loot box mechanic where it is fun and surprising to see what you can get. Like, do you have something that you can get that's rare? I like the thrill of that, but I don't like paying real money to experience that. So do you think that there should be regulation in the US to either regulate or outright ban gacha mechanics?
I think so, largely in the fact that it is often targeted to children. That 100% seems wrong. In general, though, like when I have been thinking about like gambling, on the one hand, I feel like people should have the choice to whether or not they want to do that, or the choice if they want to engage in that. But on the other hand, there is the real fact of these things being addictive, and companies knowingly use that psychology against people, and that seems wrong to me. So I think that there should be some regulation about it. I'm just not sure what exactly that would look like. I think it'd be more clear if you're looking at like the age demographics of it, of who it's affecting, but I'm not really sure what that would be.
When I was reading the article linked below about the countries and how they regulate loot box mechanics, I think there's China, who kind of had a middle ground where they really have to state what could be in each loot box. They have to give you the percentages, and they have to reveal what's in every single one and what you could get, as well as they have to be worth some kind of monetary value. So you have to be able to trade what you get, no matter how low the value, to somebody else. Like, it has to be worth something, what you're buying. It has to have some monetary value.
Yeah, that seems like it would be a pretty good answer to legislating it here in the US.
I think if I could outlaw paid loot boxes, I would, but I do think that's a little bit unrealistic. I like paying in my time to pull the gacha handle, but I don't really like paying real money. And for the Makeover game, I wanted to talk about kind of the way it was presented, the ethics of Makeover games, and whether we felt that what was being made over, if a young girl was playing that, someone more, or even an older girl, right? Someone who is highly influenced by what they see and what they consume. Like, do you think that is a good presentation of a makeover game? Did you find it aesthetically pleasing? Did you enjoy the makeover aspects?
I thought it was kind of funny when you start playing the makeover game, and I'm assuming that it probably has the same gameplay for like every person who plays it.
I think so.
That we both started with the same person.
Mm-hmm.
But the very first person that you get to make over is a girl who just graduated from college and is starting like a new job. And I just thought it was kind of funny because, like, the main way that you make her over is by taking off her glasses and changing her hair. And it just reminded me of, like, things like the Princess Diaries or other things where it's literally just a girl has brown curly hair and wears glasses, and then suddenly they take off her glasses and they straighten her hair or maybe dye it, like, blonde or put in highlights, and then it's like, oh my God,
yeah,
she's a whole new person. And so it really reminded me of that. I did think it was interesting that I think like the second person that you make over is a man, which I wasn't expecting. I personally have always liked either makeover games or like sim type games where you are creating people or changing how they look. So like this was the one that I felt like I was gonna enjoy the most, even though I don't think I did. For me personally, I feel like I don't know that Project Makeover did the game in the best way that they could, as far as like what they would be showing young women maybe about what like their standards of beauty should be, or how people should look, or even I guess just even like the concept of makeovers in general. Like why should people have to change how they look in order to be accepted by other people? I don't know. But like I said, I do like those kinds of games. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a hypocrite in that sense. But this one, I didn't feel necessarily like it was as bad as it could be, but it still wasn't great.
Yeah. It was almost kind of comforting how just 2010 it was, in a way. It's not very progressive at all. It is what it is. And I mean, same thing. I did feel like we're back to Princess Diaries days where that is what the makeover standard was. And I didn't play enough of the game. It seems like it could go on for a very long time. I have no idea how many people you continue to make over. I only made it to the second person, but I didn't even like the makeover aspects because you only get 3 choices for each item, and you have to decorate their house. I was not into decorating their house. Were you?
I felt like it was too many levels. I felt like it was trying to have some kind of like Queer Eye moment by having to like redecorate the house and redecorate the person.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that because, again, I kind of like those kinds of games already, of like designing games. But I think just in general with that game, I just felt like there was like too much going on with like the drama that was happening with the ex-director and then the Candy Crush element. Like it was just a lot happening and it was too much for me, I think, in general. And so kind of similarly along these lines about how a lot of these games have been targeted to women, and specifically something like Project Makeover, what that might be doing to women who are playing it. It made me think a lot about MLMs, or multi-level marketing companies, also known as pyramid schemes. So something akin to like Avon, or like Herbalife, where somebody buys a bunch of product, like they buy a bunch of makeup from Avon, and then it's their job to then sell that makeup to other people to try to like earn their money back. And traditionally that has always been marketed to women to do, like maybe if they're like a housewife or need some extra income at home. But it's always very predatory, and a lot of times people are taken advantage of and they don't make their money back. And so, and thinking about these games like Project Makeover, I feel like they're probably engaging in some type of similar tactic. Like, are these games specifically targeted to women because they're maybe thinking women have more downtime at home if they're taking care of their kids, and then they're knowing that, so then they're also going to like put in more actual paywalls like in Project Makeover to try to get them into paying more money to like basically take advantage of their like downtime that they have. I don't know. I was making some connections there. What do you think?
I think that's a novel thought, and that is a lot to think about. I mean, again and again, women are taken advantage of over and over again, monetarily, and it wouldn't surprise me if it kind of the pieces all fit together that way. I'm curious if the industry and advertisers and marketers are aware of that, or if it's just kind of haphazard and unintentional, and it just kind of went that way. With MLMs, I feel like at this point enough research has been done to where they know what they're doing, but this industry is still newer than MLMs, so not as much thought and effort has been put into thinking about that. So I'm not sure.
I don't know. I would push on that. I feel like these companies probably do have somebody there who this is their specific job, is to think about how their games most like affect the psychology of people, or how they can really get into people's heads to make them. At least I know for sure that that's a job that people have for like websites and things like that. I would assume that probably larger companies at least have that for games. I don't know about the size of like the companies that make these types of apps, but I'm sure that that's somebody's job, is to be on that.
I'm sure too, but at the same time, I would like to think that no one is intentionally trying to be predatory in the game. No, never mind.
Why would
I take it all back. I take it all back. I take it all back. Yes, Savanah, you're correct.
Okay. I think I'm just of the mindset where I don't trust these people. I don't trust these people who are making these games. I think because, and I think part of why I feel that way is because I have seen some games for like in the Apple App Store on the phone, or I have an Apple TV and you can download games on that too through the App Store. And I can tell a difference when there are some, I would assume, more like indie companies who are producing games that look like really cool. They look really beautiful. Maybe they have some really interesting storyline or cool graphics. And those companies, it's clear that that probably started as like somebody's passion project, and that's why they are doing that. Versus these games, I feel like they're evil. Maybe evil is too strong of a word, but I just don't trust them, and I feel like they 100% know what they're doing, and they just want to take advantage of women and children.
You're right. I know. But at the same time, you have to reconcile with the want and need to play puzzle and arcade-like type games. And it's just been monetized just down, especially the arcade games. It's not fair. Anyways, moving on to the final game, where I had a different thought about it. Completely different side of the realm. Savanah, do you remember HQ?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Let me bring you back in time. It's 2016. I'm on a South Campus bus from my main university campus to my off-campus apartments. And I'm there, and 6 o'clock comes, and everyone's on their phones. Everyone taps on HQ. Quiz Daddy on the screen. It's time to play. HQ was a game show that real people could play on their mobile devices, and if they made it through enough questions, then they would get a real life cash prize.
This is ringing a bell now. I feel like I remember this, and I feel like I recall fear. I feel like I had a fear about this game.
Well, I played it.
Continue.
I played it not very often, and it was surprisingly challenging. They had a knack for asking questions that you feel like you should know, but you don't quite know. And they really didn't give you very much time to answer the question, so you didn't have time to Google it or anything. I'm sure people did, and I'm sure people did have enough time to do that. Anyways, they crashed and burned. They didn't make any money. They went bankrupt. There's like another HQ app coming up soon. I feel like the media likes the idea of HQ. They just didn't know how to execute it. I even kind of like the idea of HQ. But that's what I thought what Guess Their Answer was going to be. I thought that there would be some kind of grand prize for making it so and so far. And I was kind of excited to like get back in the ring again and participate with other people and show them my trivia superiority. But that did not happen.
So I remember when HQ, the game that you're talking about, did come out. And I remember thinking, this seems too good to be true. How could you win real money? This doesn't seem right. I don't know. I think that fear that I felt was that when it came out, and I don't know, it was because of the way that I like saw it online. For some reason, I feel like maybe I watched like a YouTube video or saw something on Tumblr. I don't know. But I think it just made me feel like it was like a Black Mirror situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that like freaked me out. I don't know. But there was a game that was advertised in one of these where you could supposedly win Amazon gift cards. I don't recall what it was, but they even had like pictures of supposedly real people after they won their game and they got like $1,000 Amazon gift card or something crazy. And even like it like tempted you into playing by being like, ooh, play now and you can win at least a $25 Amazon gift card or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I feel like that I feel torn about. Because on the one hand, I'm like, well, that could be great to win money like that, but I know that they're probably going to do something really awful to take advantage of people who are like low income or needing the money to be playing that game. Or it'll just be like the lottery where people like waste their money trying to buy all the tickets and then never win. I don't know. But with Guess Their Answer, I didn't really find myself wanting some type of prize like that, maybe because I've never played a game like that, but also I'm just like very competitive in nature and I really like trivia games. So even in my mind, if I knew I was playing against a bot, I was like, I still really want to win. Mm-hmm. And get like to be the top finalist or whatever for Mesa. So I feel like I didn't have like a drive or a want for some type of reward in that sense. It was enough for me in the game, but if I had experienced something like that where you could actually win real money, I think probably then I would have wanted something like that.
I just wasn't very motivated to play the game. I got kind of bored. The rounds were kind of long. I didn't feel like there was any competition. So I wasn't sure if I was playing against real people. Maybe if I knew for sure that I was playing up against real people, it would have been more motivating. But in general, it was kind of a boring experience for me. So Savanah, another thing, kind of going back to high heels really quick. So I read the reviews of all the games, and all of them were kind of normal. You know, like the Guess Their Answer, some people were like, this was really fun, I wish it was harder. And with the other Project Makeover one, there was the discrepancy of people saying, like, this is a great game, I really love the Candy Crush aspect too, I feel like I was lied to. This was not what was advertised to me when I downloaded the game. But there's one outlier here, and that's high heels. And this is a phenomenon that I don't really know about. I have no idea if these are meme reviews. I have no idea if it's just this game in particular, if these reviews were bought. No research done whatsoever. But I just wanted to go ahead and read a few if that's okay.
Please.
Okay, so we'll be looking down. I knew I needed to download this app to watch many ads as possible to give them the most money when I first saw it on TikTok. Ooh, it's a TikTok thing. Given I am a baddie, this game was meant for me. Also, Makisa wants to date me, and she is the only bad biddy to match my energy, and also plays this game. Please slice me in half, Makisa. Is Makisa a TikTok star? I have no idea. Do we need to beep that out? As soon as the game finished installing, the sky glowed golden, rain poured down. Immediately, Palestine and Ireland were freed, and everyone form of hatred you can think of was no more. Walking in these heels was God. How could I have not realized? It was her who sent Makisa, the love of my life, to this world, and it was clear she would bring every fictional character you can ever imagine to this world and make them interested in all who have this app. Furthermore, Rogue goes basilisk in his aid and the goddess of heals, and they will know if you have played this game. This game has changed the world, and you can too by downloading it. Don't worry, our new god will make sure you don't injure yourself while walking in tall heels.
That's and wild.
All of them are like that. That one was titled, I no longer have daddy issues. So many are this cured my depression. I have seen the face of God. Nicki Minaj. Oh no, Nicki Manji? Maybe it's Nicki Minaj? I have no idea. This is God's plan. Like coming up for fresh air. Cured my rabies. I'm a baddie. Playing this game is like drinking the nourishing milk of life's teat. It was a day like any other. My hemorrhoids were acting up, and I felt hopeless, so I decided to open TikTok. When I opened the app, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. A beautiful, determined women destined to be the world's greatest model. I felt my aching bones mend as I witnessed this. I felt the light return back into my eyes. This marvelous experience didn't last long, as it was time for bed. While I slept, I felt the odd yet purifying warmth of that model in her beautiful high heels. She cradled me and spoke softly. You are too destined for greatness. Like, I guess I need to download TikTok and to know what this is about, because I guess this is a TikTok thing. Have you heard about this, Savanah?
No. Did we stumble upon a cult? What was that person's name? Makisa?
Yeah, Makisa. Mikisa, I think.
I do not have a TikTok, so if this was a thing, I would not know. When I look it up, it has stuff about Attack on Titan.
Maybe like just search high heels TikTok. I think I found the video.
I found a game for baddies. You basically walk like a bad bitch in high heels. My ankles could never split, OMG. This bitch will step on you with no hesitation. Yes, Queen Pop off. As you should.
So maybe that's it. What song is that?
I don't know. I still somewhat feel confused. I'm just confused about how popular that could be.
Because the one I'm looking at only has, where did it go? 1 million likes.
I'm more confused now. I feel like upon viewing that video, I feel like those reviews that you read, those sounded like real people to me. They did not sound like bots, because they were like too weirdly descriptive and like coherent, I feel like, unless they're like really good bots. I feel like maybe this game has gained some kind of TikTok following, perhaps. I feel like an old person for not knowing what's up with this game.
Yeah, I feel like normally I'm on the trends, but I can't really say that right now because I don't have TikTok, or I don't even have the app downloaded. So I'm, by definition, off the trends.
But I feel like I often still see the TikTok trends because people repost them on Instagram, or I've watched like TikTok compilations on YouTube, but I'm sure with a platform so large that there's things that slip through the cracks that I don't end up seeing, perhaps like high heels.
Maybe it's just like a little cult following. Maybe it is larger and this is the most obvious thing. I will not know. I have no idea. So sorry about it.
Yeah. If you happen to know what the deal is with high heels, please tell us in the comments down below. We would love to know.
Okay, so wrapping up our thoughts here, one final question in general about mobile games that I had is, do you feel like we have left the golden age of mobile games? Do you feel like the future is just drearier and drearier the more we go on? I personally feel like I want to say no because I don't really like thinking that way, but at the same time I can't help thinking back in the day when it was really just Angry Birds and Fruit Ninja, how it felt better and there weren't nearly as many advertisements and there were a lot more options to just pay the premium price up front to just play the game. So at the same time, yes, I do feel like the golden age of mobile games are over, and I think some regulation needs to happen.
I think I'm in the same boat, because I feel like as long as it gets easier and easier for them to give people advertisements, they're just going to keep doing that and just make the games less and less about the games themselves. I have hope for people who, like I was kind of saying before, like maybe it's like their passion project or something, that like good games will continue to exist, but I'm sure it's just going to become more and more difficult for them to really like make a splash in the market, while there's always still other games that are just so heavily influenced by advertisements.
All right, so I think that's everything we have to discuss on mobile games today.
Thank you guys for joining us today in this discussion. We'd love to hear your thoughts below. Explain this high heels thing to us in the comments. Please make sure to like and subscribe. You can leave a review or rate us on Apple Podcasts, and links to everything that we talked about will be in the description box down below. Bye.